This is Out Loud and Laughing.
What is up, chosen fam? Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. Today, we are in the presence of a true architect of our community's digital future. When the mainstream media turned a blind eye to our stories, this man didn't just ask for a seat at the table, he built an entire media empire from the ground up to ensure our voices would never be silenced again. If you ever found a safe space to travel through gay cities, felt seen by a headline on LGBTQ Nation, or shared a laugh and a deep dive on queerty, you have his vision to thank. He evolved from a high powered Yahoo tech titan into a powerhouse media mogul and a fearless advocate for queer families. He is the visionary CEO of Q.Digital and a man who proves that when you lead with heart and authenticity, you can change the world. Please welcome to the pod the legendary Scott Gatz. Hey, Scott.
Thank you very much for having me. And God, that was incredibly sweet. I don't know if I deserve all that, but I'll take it. Thank you.
That Golden Globe over your shoulder would, is that a Golden Globe or is that
It's
an
an
Emmy?
Emmy. It's an
Emmy,
Emmy.
yeah, it would
Yeah.
suggest differently. But I will say that we are so thrilled to have you here. We've definitely done our research and we've looked through your history, and it's honestly a bit intimidating to the both of us. But you spent over a decade over at Yahoo and during the early days of the internet, essentially helping out build the digital world we live in today. But before we get into the mobile talk, we wanted to take it back just a little further. So, most of our chosen family is meeting you for the first time. Can you tell us a bit about early Scott? Where did you grow up? And was there a moment in those early years when you realized that you weren't just going to follow the status quo, but actually create your own path?
Yeah. I don't know if I grew up in the city of Chicago. I think sadly, probably like a lot of gay kids, I was bullied in middle school. My seventh grade bully was just kind of awful. And I don't know that I can say this now, but I don't know if I realized it then that I just kind of wanted to prove to the world that I was worth more than those folks were giving me credit for. And I think that created this passion in me. I discovered television, something that I love just watching TV. So I just had a passion to make television, to TV news specifically. And interestingly, I found it in high school. The freshman year of high school, I went to a school that had a television studio and became incredibly passionate about it. So fast forward, I went to college for television, ended up interning at NBC and Good Morning America and working at Lifetime and Reuters and all these things, um, all really in the service of storytelling and taking interesting people's lives and experiences and stories and sharing them out with the world. And so thus started my media journey until Reuters, had an opportunity for me to move into the tech side of television. Streaming was just a kind of a dream at the time, but they had it. And it was pretty bad, but this is pre YouTube, pre everything, and we started figuring out how to do actual streaming of content. And from there, I never looked back. I was in tech for that part of my career. As you mentioned, I was at Yahoo for 10 years, kind of the early years. So we got to really create and build all this interesting stuff, stuff that today we take for granted, but then we were making it up as we went. And after I left Yahoo in 2008, that kind of led me to where I am today. And it's really the intersection of media and technology is my sweet spot.
Mhm.
And I'm lucky I get to do that every day.
I mean, when you're talking, it's so interesting because John and have talked to many guests, and this whole thing around like in our community around grit, right? Because I remember like in high school as well, I had a teacher tell me I couldn't do something, and that just lit a fire. And from then on, I've never heard the word no. I just find that yes when and I just it's so interesting that we kind of share that experience. A lot of us were told no or bullied or kicked down, and it kind of looking back at it, it's almost like a positive, right? Because it turned us into who we are today, where it's like we're really determined people now. And we don't, we want to do cool shit and we try hard to get it done.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I'm exactly fearless, but I'm not afraid to try things. I'm not afraid to take risks, and they don't even feel like risks. They just like, sure, let's do that. Let's give that a try and see how it works. And luckily, a whole bunch of them have worked out well for me. But who knows if I would have had that if it wasn't for that bully in 7th grade. I don't know.
I
Well, and
was
that's my question too, because you made such a massive leap from corporate Yahoo. You were getting a paycheck, it was stable, and then you left in 2008 to start Q.Digital when the economy was digital media was still on the rise. I worked at Disney back in the day and we were selling display banners. Like that's just come such a long way. So like what was like almost that Oprah aha moment that like said like, no, I want to do this and I want to take a risk.
Yeah, I mean, I think the genesis. I started Gay Cities first, and the genesis was really simple. I love travel, and I was looking for a B&B in Boston in the South End. Where do I stay? So I go to TripAdvisor, which existed then, and searching around, and I found a review of a B&B from like a 65-year-old woman, and she said it was the place was meticulously decorated, but there were a lot of men there. And I was like, "That's where I
Got it.
wanna go." Um, but how the fact that I had to decode straight people's reviews of gay B&Bs in the gayest neighborhood in Boston at the time is like, well, how come we don't have our own? How come we can't share where to go stay and eat in cities where we travel all over the world? So I just started it. It was more of a scratching that itch. And let's build. I started with one city, San Francisco, where I live. And then we became 10 cities and fast forward to today, we're in over 300 cities worldwide, where people share where to go stay and eat in all these places. Um, and it just felt like there was this missing thing. And it coincided with my time. I was, feeling like I'm done at Yahoo. I got married that year and started the company. And that's been, gosh, 17 years, 18 years ago.
with Gay Cities, you say it's about scratching an itch, but it also somehow indicates a feeling of wanting to find safety in travel, especially as we go further down the line in this chronological story of our community. Back then, it still wasn't that accepted. So traveling wasn't a luxury as much as like going out to a place where you can be free, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it always, even when I started, it depended on what city you were going to. Part of that
Absolutely.
is about, and this part of that story is still about safety, and part of that story is about just finding community and finding your people. You were traveling to New York City or San Francisco, Chicago, you're gonna be safe. You'll be fine, but you wanted to find where are my people at. But yeah, you travel in many other cities in the world, many of the cities that we cover, and it is really still about safety. And it's interesting that sadly the world is cycling around to the fact that some of the places that maybe you used to consider safe aren't.
Yeah.
And so again, finding each other in those places is probably the most important thing we can do.
So important. And you've mentioned that your mission is a world where everyone is free to be themselves, quite frankly. And while that's beautiful, as the guy who has published on stories that can be quite heavy sometimes, from legislative battles to community infighting, how do you protect your own peace, right? Like, what parts of the job still get you excited? And what are parts of them that keep you up at night?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. A lot of my
Yeah.
friends are saying, well, I'm not going to read as much news. I'm going to tune out a little bit. And I don't have the luxury to do that. No one in our company has the luxury to tune out. We need to be able to, we need to read everything. We need to pay attention to the news. We need to listen to what politicians are saying. So that part's hard. You can't escape it. But then I think you take it through a certain critical lens and you realize, well, what part is just kind of BS politics? What part is the real hate? I mean, we get hate mail, and I get to be the one that opens up the mailbox and see all
Mm,
the hate mail, and
lucky you.
it's almost laughable how bad
Mhm.
some of it is, and I think that helps. I kind of chuckle at that somebody took the time to send this like handwritten note. I mean, there's only been a few that I've been legitimately like shocked by, but most of them are like, wow, just I cannot believe people have the time to do this. Uh, so anyway, I think a little sense of humor, a little bit of clarity, a little bit of realizing like how this stuff actually works and how much it's a little bit of a game that politicians are playing. I wish they wouldn't use us as pawns, but coming up in the in the George Bush era, watching how they use marriage equality as a something to stimulate their base. They're doing the exact same thing with our trans siblings right now. It's the exact same playbook. It's about the children. It's about, it's all the same message. So once you realize that, for one, it's why I'll fight for our trans community, because, I've been through this before. And two, I've been through this before, and I know how much of this is just kind of a bunch of bullshit to churn up anger. So in some ways that helps. It's hard, but it helps.
I mean, it's dark stuff, you know. I think, like you, John and I also fight for the community. All the letters in our community I think are super important. I think while your publications drive awareness and education for people in the community, what I really enjoy is that it drives education for people outside the community, right? Like we have people close to us who have voted for on the other side and don't necessarily understand that vote, how much it truly affects our community. And so you're creating a place where it's actually factual and people actually can get the actual data versus, to your point, all that clickbait that's going around just to, drive up those clicks and, these crazy headlines. And at the end of the day, it's just, it's so important what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I mean, we really do believe that. I mean, ultimately, we see ourselves as we want to entertain and educate folks. We want to amplify the voices of the queer community. We want to inspire action, and all of those things um, can have wider circles and really educate folks. And our content's distributed in lots of different ways. You can come to one of our websites, lgbtqnation.com, queerty.com. You can see us on Flipboard or Smart News or Apple News or MSN. And MSN is when people start up their browser on Windows, our news can show up there, and it's seen by millions and millions of people each month. And hopefully, maybe that's chipping away at some of these other messages and changing people's minds, or at least leaving them a little bit more open to a world that's different than the one we have today.
If there's one thing that I've sort of pieced together in my short 41 years on this planet is the power of stories, the power of communities who corral around those stories. And I was interested to get your take on what does it mean to forge a community together for you? Here at Out Loud and Laughing, we call our audience our chosen family. And it seems, just based off of a lot of the things we know about you, that that's very important to you. I'm interested to how that plays a role in your professional and personal life.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of joke in some ways I've become a professional gay. So the circles I get to run in, the people I get to meet, the stories we get to tell are all kind of in service of that. And I'm
Yeah.
so very lucky to be in rooms with people that I get to learn from and connect with and partner together, because we all kind of have the same hope. Again, it's like, as you said, the mission is super simple for us. We want a world where everyone is free to be themselves and live their life to the fullest. And we're a ways away from that, but I think everyone I meet feels the same way. And so ultimately, uh, uh, how do we kind of lock arms together in the tough times and push forward on that?
So well said. And the one thing I wanted to deep dive a little bit when I was doing some research on you, Scott, is I want to talk about your personal life a little bit, right? Because you're a huge advocate for family. And I feel like you walked so I can run because I also have a family through surrogacy and a 4 and a 6-year-old. You're also on the board of family equality. And, for many in our chosen fam, the idea of family can feel complicated or even out of reach. And the one thing I like to ask is because I couldn't fathom what it was like to be a father. What has fatherhood taught you about leadership that the boardroom could never teach you?
Wow. I mean, I've actually said this a lot. There's actually a lot of similarities
Yeah.
between being a leader and being a parent. And both jobs, if they're jobs, both things kind of educate the other. Things I've learned at work have helped me be a better dad, and
Hmm.
that I am as a dad have helped me be a better manager. I mean, ultimately, when I think about my son's future, I want him to I want him to be happy. I want him to be his best self. and whatever that means. And I want to encourage that and allow him to grow and discover that and stumble along the way a little, but hopefully find that passion for himself. And honestly, that kind of what when you think about it, that's what you want everybody in a company that you might work for to be not afraid to stumble, not afraid to try new things, to be the best at what they do in their environment. And so the two go really well together.
What what kind of advice would you give to our audience around getting back up, regardless of whether it's personal or professional, and that stumbling you talked about, which I think is so human, and we beat ourselves so much over it. You know, when a mistake occurs in Scott's life, what does Scott tell Scott?
Well, I don't know. I'm really good at giving other people advice. I don't know if I
Right?
always follow it, right?
That's
Holding
the
the mirror
truth.
up is always hard.
But it's rarely about you or your abilities when you stumble or fall. It's maybe you didn't have enough info. Maybe there's external factors that you can't control. Maybe the idea just wasn't really the right idea of the thing you tried. Um, it's not necessarily, and most likely, it's not about you. It's about all those other things. So, okay, that didn't work. Try this other thing. Do I follow that all the time? I don't know, but it is, I think, kind of a universal truth that you just gotta try something else, or try to refine the thing, or uh, don't be afraid to be like, that didn't work.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure there have been a few stumbles, but there have been many more wins. You received the Barbara Giddings Award from GLAAD for excellence in LGBTQ media. Giddings was a pioneer who said our stories matter. And in an era of TikTok, where what 15-second videos are bringing people fame, how are you ensuring that deep, nuanced history of our movement doesn't get lost in the feed?
Well, you gotta do both. I mean,
Mhm.
you can't I know you guys do this with your podcast, right? You gotta release the clips to get somebody interested in coming to hear the whole podcast. So, it's the same in really everything. And by the way, the media, when I worked at Good Morning America and NBC versus today is a world of difference. And there's probably been 50 different worlds of difference along the way, right? So the universal truth of the one thing that's constant is change. You just gotta kinda change with it, and that means you're doing more on TikTok, you're doing more on Instagram. You're trying to get to figure out how to make your message, stick, get someone excited, and then pull them over. But I do believe firmly that you wanna pull them somewhere, and you wanna have more context for the folks that are like, "Hey, I wanna learn more about that." Create that space for that too. You can't just say, "Okay, this is all I'm gonna do." Or at least that's my particular take on how to kinda balance all those stories, because some stories are worth the time, and some people have done amazing things and are worth you hearing about, so come and listen to them.
It's so true. I think it's important to, again, spend time in that space because that's where the audience is and you want to follow them and you want to follow the trends. But I feel like most most people do it ethically, like yourself, and some don't, right? And so at least you're doing it, but you're doing it right. I work at YouTube, so I'm very familiar with the trend of shorts and all of these things. And you just see people, some people trying to just like change the system or like,
Cheat the system.
cheat the system, cheat
Yeah.
the algorithm, all of those things. And so
I
I
mean, but
agree.
hasn't that been the case again the whole time? Like, whatever the
Yeah.
system is, somebody's figuring out how to cheat it, how to drive engagement, whatever the numbers are that somebody cares about. So in some ways, you got to play that game, but recognize that it's a game,
Yeah.
and again, do it in a way like I hope we do it in a way that's ethical and thoughtful. But we want people to see the stuff, so we're going to have to make sure that maybe our headlines are a little punchier than they used to
Yep.
be,
Yep.
or our video clips are sassier than they once were. So be it.
We have plenty of content to make that happen, Scott, right? In our
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
um,
Indeed.
as CEO of this company that's doing amazing things, like what's next? What's on the horizon? What's some innovation that's like you're thinking through?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we're in such a challenging time, to be fair, in queer media. And there's a little bit of really trying to figure out how to navigate that world where advertisers are backing down from our community, and funding in our community has been a lot tougher than it's ever been. Our pride parades, all these things that rely on, in some ways people kind of hated how much they relied on corporate sponsorship, but the expense of, say, putting on a pride parade is measured in the millions of dollars. So how do you get that paid? And when those sponsors go away, what do we have? And the same thing's happening in the world of media for us. So figuring out how to navigate that, create different kinds of ways. So our membership program, we ask people, come be a member, support LGBTQ Nation or Outpost or Queerty or Gay Cities, so that you can help keep journalism free for everyone. So that's been a big area of focus for us. And then that lets us do more stuff for those customers that isn't focused on advertising. It's focused on the people who choose. We do tons of member bonus content. So you get to see behind the scenes in a way that you've never been before. We talk about the rooms that we get to be in. We've created a way for you to be there with us. And so you'll see us do more stuff like that. And obviously we just talked about it. Social video is so incredibly important. So we're playing more in those games, because ultimately, if our goal is this world where everyone's free to be themselves, we have to touch as many people as we can, no matter where they are, not just on our websites, but on our socials and on all these other services that I talked.
Meeting your audience where they are. It's impactful. It's working. We are part of that community. Thank you again for everything you're doing, Scott. We loved this deep dive with you, but at Out Loud and Laughing, we have a signature tradition. We need to see how the editor in chief of, or the CEO really thinks about when the pressure is on, right? So it's time for a little game we like to call This or That, the Media
I'm scared of
Mogul
this,
edition.
You should be.
Yes, we're going to give you two options. You've got no overthinking. We just want to hear the first thing that comes to your spirit. Are you ready?
Sure, go for it.
All right, I'm going to kick it off. Would you prefer a viral headline or a deep dive long read?
Oh, I think, oh God, these are hard. I think a good viral headline. I do love my long reads, but I read so much a day. Pull me in, get me excited a little bit, make me laugh a little too with the way you do it. I love that kind of stuff.
It's the foreplay.
I was just going to say a foreplay kind of guy. I'm into it. I love that. So
I
funny.
love it. Do you prefer scruff or no scruff?
I'm a no scruff kind of person.
Clean cut, like
Same.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right. In the world of heated rivalry, we've known that the butt has now become an icon. What happened there, right? But we want to know from you: are you a butt guy or a chest guy?
Well, I'm going to change the story, and it's
I
all
love
about
it.
it's all about the eyes for me. Those like sexy eyes, and Heated Rivalry had plenty of that too.
That is true too.
That's true.
It was physical and emotional.
Yeah,
It was
Brian,
all the
Indeed.
things.
start writing these
You can-
questions with your eyes and not your. Never mind.
Do you prefer Silicon Valley tech vibes or NYC media energy?
Man, no, I told you I like them both, like combined. Like, why do you have to choose?
The best of both.
The best of both. But I think maybe New York media energy does kind of slightly win there. I mean, so Silicon Valley's, we got so much creative stuff, but I don't need to hear about your 70th AI startup. Okay.
Right.
At least in media, we're telling other people's stories. So including the people who have the 70th AI stories. So I should probably not throw them under the bus.
I can say because I lived there, but Silicon Valley is where the tech fest went to die officially. Like we just, my next question for you is one that gets a very polarizing response often. So get ready. Are you a shower guy or a bath guy?
I don't know how this is polarizing. Shower all the way.
That's the polarizing part. Some people are diehard bath fans.
But good, you can have it, but, I gotta get moving. Actually, although sometimes I'll linger in the shower, and that's where some of the craziest and best ideas for the company
Yes.
come from.
100%.
And that in the bath, I don't wanna be thinking about work, so
No. Standing in the shower, just letting the water hit you for a while is actually just the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I
absolutely.
might do that after this. Okay, so this is our famous sports question, Scott. You're playing baseball. Are you a pitcher in the game or a catcher in the game?
Yeah, I was worried about this question.
Yeah.
Can I be the general manager?
Yeah. That says everything we need to
That
know.
is your job actually, you
Yeah.
know?
Indeed, indeed.
We can
Let
swiftly
everybody
move
have a
through.
great game, you know, hit as many home runs as they want, and, it'll all be good.
We have
I
just learned that our community loves sports and they like to play all the positions is what we've learned.
There you go, and that's why we have outsports.com, so, don't
Yep,
forget.
right
There you
behind
go.
you.
And the award to
Well
prove
deserved.
it. Yeah. I was actually going to quickly segue in there to say that I think after all of our research, Brian, we'll be able to like bust the top bottom myth because no one has ever come on to say that they were exclusively one or the other. So that's
Correct.
been kind of, I don't know, the hard hitting questions in the work is happening here, Scott.
I
Um,
I don't I don't know, but if you watch all those TikTok videos of people in the street, I mean, then I think the opposite might be true. I think
Correct.
maybe you've got a selection bias with this podcast here.
that
That
might
might
be
be true.
true. Yeah. Are you more into a red carpet gala or just a quiet family dinner?
Uh, these are so hard. I'm a sucker for a red carpet gala. Like we do the Queerties Awards. It's kind of our big Hollywood event every year. This year honored Meg Stalter and tons of great folks, and getting to meet folks and just live in that Hollywood energy is great. I'm
Mhm.
Family Equalities galas this month, and I'll hopefully get to meet Elton John and Neil Patrick Harris and a few folks. And it's like, how often do you get to do that? That's pretty special. And I get to bring my family to it. So I guess there's also a dinner there. So maybe that counts too.
It counts as both.
Well done.
I like it. Okay, this one might be a little hard for you because this is new. Do you like being the interviewer or the interviewee?
Interviewer for
Yeah.
sure. I'm there's so many interesting queer folks in the
Yes.
world that have such amazing stories. The fact that I get to do anything to help tell their stories makes me super happy. So I'll do this, and this is fun. I don't want to say it, but I like your seat better than mine.
Yeah.
We like our seat too. Thanks, Scott. We're going to take it a little bit more serious. Would you prefer a world that is tolerant or a world that is truly free?
I think truly free. I mean, I don't really get excited about someone putting up with me.
Mhm.
Like, I want a world where everyone recognizes that you get to be your true authentic self. And if everyone, including folks who are completely different and completely polar opposite from me, is also free to be their true authentic self, but part of that is recognizing that there are other people that get to be their authentic self, what a world would that be, and ultimately, we talk about diversity, but really differences are what make us strong. Like the idea, it's something you learn in a family or you learn in a company. If we all think exactly the same, it's going to be the most boring thing ever.
Yeah.
So bringing together all this diverse thought and people, but recognizing that that's a better thing than something that's homogenous. um, why wouldn't you want a world that's free like that?
Well said.
Very well said. Okay, last one, Scott.
Sure.
Being remembered for what you built or how you made people feel?
How we made people feel. And hopefully with what we're building, we can actually change that. But um, especially, if I look at it on a personal level, my family, I care very much about the love and joy that our family has for each other and for the world. And um, that's a much better legacy than anything I could build, no matter how awesome it is.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to punctuate it, Scott. This has been such an honor, truly. And thank you for being part of our chosen family today and for everything you're doing to keep our community voice loud and clear and front and center, really.
And thank you guys for doing the same. I mean, again, putting these stories out there, we're all kind of trying to do the same thing, which is to amplify our voices, entertain people, have a little bit of fun. And so I'm so incredibly grateful to you for this podcast. And thanks for having me too.
Yeah. Where can our listeners follow and support Q.Digital, all the different publications you're putting out? Like, what can our followers do?
Yeah. So, you can find the names of all of our properties. You can find them on social, Queerty, Gay Cities, LGBTQ Nation, and Outsports. Outsports.com and queerty.com, LGBTQnation.com, gaycities.com. So go check them out, follow us. And if you're so inclined and you want to make sure that this work remains free for everyone, become a member. Just $5 or $10 a month, which you spend on all these other publications that aren't doing a great job for our community. $5 or $10 a month can keep LGBTQ media free for everyone.
Everybody go find the incredible work and stories that Scott and his team are producing for us. Thank you, Scott. Chosen family, thank you for tuning in. Stay authentic, stay loud, and keep laughing. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.
This was Out Loud and Laughing.
We're available everywhere you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeart, or wherever.